Deon Swiggs from Rebuild Christchurch is here with an update on everything that is rebuilding in the city. Deon, good evening to you. Sarah wants private funding. For what?
So Sarah they're working with the Christchurch City Council to philanthropically get money for the rebuild for their projects. Now, Sarah have had a philanthropic officer for about 3 years working in-house. At this stage, there really hasn't been many results there. So what they're trying to do now is they're actually trying to create an actual foundation. They wanted to call it a Christchurch-based foundation or Canterbury foundation or something like that, so that philanthropic money can come into Christchurch so that they can put it into their projects, such as, you know, the council's crying out for $10 million so that they can build the library, other projects and things like that. But really, is that what philanthropic money is really meant to be used for, to bolster up the government and council's balance sheet at the end of the day? These are some of the things that we're hearing from the community in our respect. And I mean, we have a foundation ourselves called the Rebuild Christchurch Foundation, and if they wanted to come and talk to us, we'd be more than happy to sort of pass that on or anything like that. But it's all this doubling up of everything like that. So, you know, it's early days to figure out what they're actually trying to achieve, but it'll be really interesting to see where it goes.
Leanne Dalzell told me on News Talk CTV today the main purpose of it was simply because most other cities in this country have a foundation similar to what Sarah wants to set up. Not necessarily a bad thing. What do you say about that? Well,
we've got the Canterbury Community Trust already. So in that respect, we've already got that. Why are they wanting to double up in that respect? I know the Canterbury Community Trust are looking at where they're going to look into the next few years. Maybe there might be a good way that they can actually all combine all things there. And they've also got the Earthquake Appeal Fund, so that's a big part of that as well.
All right, Meridian Energy, that's good news for them, signing up in the CBD.
Well, look, this is really good. To get our CBD humming, we need people to go back into the central city and actually start saying we want our workers to work there again. So this is Meridian. They've gone in provincial chambers. You know, the old building on Durham Street there. They're going into that new building. There's a couple of cranes there at the moment. But again, this is really good because this is actually getting people back into the central city. People will start going back in there, and over time you'll start seeing more activity.
Looks nice. The building looks really nice. We're just looking at it there. Other news, Sarah, Wellbeing Index shows slow improvement for those still suffering from the stress and still high domestic assault issues, but high employment opportunities. So that's, well, a double-edged sword really. Some good news and some bad news in there.
The Sarah Wellbeing Survey, obviously they do this every quarter, and it looks at, you know, how people are recovering in the psychosocial recovery. Now that's a big long word to say, and how do you feel? It's down. It's the people that are saying that they feel bad or sad or more than sad most of the time is down 2%. But the big part here is the people that are suffering or that are still suffering are actually suffering more than ever before. And so when Sarah do come out with these positive news stories, there is a double end to the sword here, and those people who are left out are actually really suffering. And again, a couple of weeks ago, Westpac came out with some data saying that there is going to be 15,000 less jobs in Canterbury over the next 5 years, because as the construction sector and things like that wind down.
But there's still plenty of construction to be had though, so I don't understand why they're saying that when you look in the city, when you look in the outskirts of Christchurch, still a lot of empty space though. How can that be the case?
Some data from CDC is saying we still need 5,000 more jobs in the city, and then Westpac come along and say as the rebuild peaks down. So this will probably be from about 2018 onwards, and that's around 15,000 jobs. So really the time is right now for our city to actually start thinking about, well, what is our economy after the rebuild, and how does that actually translate into jobs for those people that are wanting to stay here and make Christchurch their home.
Okay, for those in Littleton, the Littleton Port Recovery Plan for consideration, what does this mean?
So Littleton Port, the Minister and Sarah, or Cabinet, have said, you know, there's a recovery plan that needs to be done, because obviously otherwise the port would need to go to the council, and it would probably take 10 years to get all of the consents that they need to do, resource consents. The plan has gone through ECAN, through the environment stuff, and now they're ready to take it back for public consultation through the Sarah process. People can have a say on that over the next couple of weeks, and really once that's all tied together, then there's a plan for Littleton Port's recovery, and that means that whole extra jetty that they're going to be doing, the reclamation, the Dampier Bay redevelopment, so and then more harbours, or not harbours, but areas there. There's also the provision for the for cruise ships, but you know, now they're saying, well, what's going to happen with the fuel tanks and other things? So there's still a few things there, but this is about the whole plan as a whole, and it's quite a 30-year work program, but it's a really cool thing. And go online and have a look at that. And if you're interested in what's going on at Littleton Port, now's your time to have a say around that.
The Christchurch Community Bike Scheme finally hits the road. That's some positive news, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's not specifically rebuild related, but it's really important that to remember that a lot of these activities that are starting out now...
They look like something from the 70s.
Yeah, they look quite space age almost. It's 21st century now. But the thing is, it's not directly rebuild related, but it is really important to actually really look at these things, because this is young entrepreneurs in the city saying, you know what, we've got an opportunity to do things differently.
So what's the deal here? Are they? Do you have to pay a fee to hire?
So you can. They've got an app. You download the app, and you've got $4 to register, and then you get half an hour free, and then it's $4 every hour after that if you use it. So, but you could just drive to park it up, and then say I've tapped off, and then drive it again and drive somewhere else, or ride somewhere else, and then park it up, tap off, and you can pretty much get around the city, you know, at a really good rate. And
or
also
you can just walk for free.
Well, you don't. It takes longer.
Okay. It sounds almost a bit silly to mention the Bloomin Bridge in a residential area that's opened up, but the Gayhurst Bridge, I mean, on Talkback Radio, a lot of people wanted to know when this Bloomin Bridge would reopen, because it actually was a vital link, and in some ways it did isolate the community, but as we see on the images there, not a bad turnout, and it's actually quite an important part of the east.
And it was only 2 months delayed as well to be opened.
It's not bad.
It's not bad for the state of a lot of things in the recovery at the moment. But yes, Gayhurst Bridge is now reopened to traffic. We drove over that a couple of days ago, and all we did actually, the passenger in the car put the cell phone up on the screen, up on the dashboard, and we just drove over it, and over 10,000 people have viewed that video. You know, these kind of little small wins of just driving over a bridge. Yes, I know, tell me about it. But these little small wins are really good. And if you do drive over it, there's another really good thing that you can actually see there is but they've incorporated the bike lanes and the walking lanes, and they've actually made it off the road, and it's actually quite cool.
Oh, that's good.
You can actually have a look at that and think about that as a model for the future, how biking and cycling and road traffic such as trucks and automobiles are different. I think it's really good.
Another sign that we can put the earthquakes out to dust is the containers in Sumner. We can finally get rid of those. Yes.
The council released some details about this the other day. They'll be slowly phased out. They're starting out at Sumner and then along the road as the rockfall risk and in that area is mitigated. They will start to take those away. And they've been there since the earthquakes. It's going to be for the people of Sumner and that go out there for coffee and stuff like that. Amazing difference it's going to make to the area.
I mean, they almost became part of the fabric, didn't they?
They're almost part of the furniture of the city,
they
really,
were,
aren't they? Yeah.
It would be quite weird to see them go. Deon, I did want to ask you about the insurance overcap update. Where are we at with that? Over 16,000 overcap residential claims.
Yeah, so 16,200 residential earthquake claims have been settled. 12,100 of those have been cash settlements, so there's only about 4,000 rebuilds and repairs. Remember, this is overcap, so this is the real complex stuff, over 100,000, 200, 300, whatever it is. There's still 7,000 obviously in resolution or in a process to be settled, whether that's a cash settlement or they're waiting for their house. They've said, yes, I want my house to be rebuilt. I'm happy with the way it's going to be doing, and now they're in the process. There are still 600 odd in yet to receive an offer, and there's still about 200-300 every quarter to come out from EQC. Another really interesting point here that I've just got some information about today is the amount of people that are now starting to look at reworks, and there is 2,700 in the pipeline just right now. This is just with EQC that aren't happy with their work. And that's just one small part, and this is just a really growing and developing thing. Obviously, we had EQC come out and say we need to check everything out.
If you get your rebuild done or repairs, who's responsible if you come back and say I'm not actually happy? I mean, surely you don't sign it off.
It ultimately should be EQC.
All right, Deon, Swiggs from rebuildchristchurch.co.nz. Thank you for your time this evening.